Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a custom thumbnail for your YouTube channel. So as you can see, this is my channel here and I've got loads of different custom ones going on. I've got some custom borders on others are left normal, and then I've just got some basic ones with just text. I've got images in others, I've got loads of different stuff going on for the different types of videos that I do. So if you do different playlists, you can even customize it so you just have a simple thumbnail for all of them. So if you're just doing, for example, Photoshop tutorials, some people actually like to put just a quick like PS in the bottom left or bottom right hand corner just to make them visible, so when you're looking in the preview list you know, oh, this is a Photoshop tutorial, this is something else, etc, etc. Now I just want to show you first off two great sites that I actually use. Obviously the first one being Google Images, like everyone else uses, but what everyone doesn't tend to know about is when you're actually searching, let's say, for thumbnail background, as you can see here, you tend to get different sizes of like 720, people go for lower res ones. The best resolution I've found is to use 1920 by 1080, and the best thing to do is to actually use Google search tools and actually specify the exact size by choosing exactly, typing in 1920, 1080 and then hitting go. That means every image that you look at is actually that size, so then you can literally click on the image and then click on view image, right click, save the image as whatever you want it to do. Let's just call this one red tiles, save that, and then there you go, you can use that in whichever editor that you're using. Today I'm going to be using Photoshop to actually show you guys how to do this, but before I do, you might need to actually use custom fonts for your videos, for your thumbnails or even your videos actually, in that fact. And a good site that I use is dafont.com, that's dafont.com, and there's hundreds and thousands of different ones that you can use on here. However, please note that some of them you can't use for commercial advertising if you try and make money through your YouTube channel, so you might need to get actual written permission from the author of that font first of all. Now a lot will say over here free for personal use, others will say demos, others will say free for commercial use, so the person just wants credit in your video. Now that's absolutely fine, just make sure you keep up to that. I've actually contacted for a number of different ones that I choose in my videos and my thumbnails, and yeah, it's really simple. You just drop the guys an email. They'll normally have the email address when you go into it, so if we just choose this one as an example, you can say this one is literally for personal use only. The person wants you to purchase it if you want to use it for commercial, so that's not a problem. You can obviously go to there, buy it from there, but what you can do, like they're saying here, if you do have a proposal, so you know, for example, you can go, I'm actually doing a YouTube video, I'd love to actually showcase this, but give you credit as I can't afford to purchase it for commercial, I'm just doing it as a one-off. Email the person and they might actually turn around and go, yeah, that's absolutely fine, but as long as you've got that permission, you're all good. So that's dafont.com. So now moving into Photoshop, again using the same dimensions, you want to create a new one by 1920, 1080, leave the resolution at 72, and you can set the background to transparent or white. It doesn't really matter at this point, as I will be changing this later on. So if you've already got an image off the internet, what you actually need to do is go to place embedded under file. So that's file, place embedded, and then as you can see there's the red tiles I saved earlier. For this one I'm going to be using a blue gradient. Now I could be just creating that myself, but this is one that I've already found that I actually quite like, so there's no point in me using the gradient tool to go and create one. Now once I've actually used that, you want to click on the tick to make sure it's all in place and you're happy with the dimensions, and because you've already got the right size, there's no need to do resizing in Photoshop. So you got the basic background. What you actually want to do after that is then put your font onto it. With the font, we're just going to put how to, and then we're going to put create a custom thumbnail. And then as you can see, it's quite basic, you know, there's not really much to that. I should have actually showed you guys, but I'm actually using a font that I love that's called EXO. Now that comes in loads of different styles. I actually really prefer like the thin one, because it gives it kind of like a futuristic sci-fi kind of thing. I'll just show you guys now actually. If I just set that to thin, and then you see it comes off with this nice one, but because we're doing a thumbnail we want it to stand out, so I want to choose either black or semi-bold. I'm going to go semi-bold for this one. And then once you've actually created the text, you just want to create a few effects just to make it stand out, the easiest way of which is a drop shadow. So as you can see, that stands out quite a lot already. Now I'm just going to rein this in a bit because the shadow is quite deep on there, so I'm just going to set it to 10 and 10. And then I'm going to also add a stroke to it. The stroke I'm also going to set to 10, just so it's not too thick. And then from here you can then start adding different colours overlays if you want, or you can actually set a gradient to it, or even add a pattern to it. So some people will use pattern and they'll try to do a bit of a chrome effect kind of thing. So just quickly, if we make that a little bit smaller, and then if you contour that, you can kind of get different effects with it. But to be honest, what I just tend to actually prefer doing is just sticking a basic gradient over it, and then I've already got some predefined ones here. I don't need to rename it, I just need to select that, and then if I scale that up just to get rid of the extra whiteness from it. And then if you really want to take it a step further, you can start adding things like outer glows, set that to whichever colour you want to be. By default mine's on yellow, but yeah, you can set that to white. You can then actually change the size of it and just sort of increase the white area behind it. So therefore that text then is going to stand out more than anything. Now once you've actually got your text, you can then start to add in other things like images if you want to. That's not a problem at all. It completely depends on the type of video that you're doing. So I just wanted this to be a very basic one, but like I did mention earlier, if you're doing things like Photoshop ones, you might want to add in another layer and make that stand out as what you're actually doing. So there's different ways that you can do that. If you're just using an image, then you can just put an overlay over that. But I'll quickly show you guys what I actually mean. So for this, I'm actually just going to change this font around a little bit, and I'm just going to set this to the left hand side, and then I'm going to set this to the right hand side just so it fits in a little bit nicer. And then if I just move this up here, then we're just going to rein this in a bit. Now to actually resize it so you kind of don't just get this like skewed kind of thing, if you hold shift on the keyboard and then left click and then drag across, it will resize it and keep everything in proportion, which is actually a nice little tip. Now what we're actually going to do onto this bit is just create a new layer, and then we're going to use the pen tool here actually, and then this is nice and simple, literally just click once here, click over here, and we're basically just doing a triangle. Now once that's completed, fill it in with whatever colour you want. I'm just going to set this to white because I'm actually going to use a custom gradient rather than the gradient choice here. So I've set that, and then I'm just going to select the select tool, go down to effects, choose blending options, and then again from here I'm going to put a drop shadow onto it, and then I'm just actually going to move this so it's a bit deeper, and then I'm actually going to set a gradient over this, and for this one I'm going to choose red again, as I've already gone with this for the text. Make this stand out a little bit more by removing the white from it. And then I can also add a stroke as well to it if I really want to. I probably need to drop that down to about probably 5, sort of add it there, but to be honest I'm already adding the shadow in, so I don't really need to do that. Now with that, again, you want to create some more font, or some more text onto this one. So if you just hit new layer again, select the text tool, and then just go over this area here. And then for this one I'm actually going to choose just a random different font for now, and let's just reduce the size down a bit, and I'll actually set this to left. Now we can make this bigger to fit in just by clicking and dragging. Okay, so we see that fits in. Let's just move the actual border bit down. Okay, now you can apply different effects to this actually to get different ways. So on this one we actually want it to sort of go into the actual image itself. So if we actually add an inner shadow to it, and then we don't really want it to be that deep, so let's bring that down to 12, and let's bring that down to 12 as well actually. Actually even that's a bit, so let's drop that down to 10. Yeah, that's better. Okay, now to make that stand out more, you can again use the stroke, but we want to set this down to about 4. So this is the actual layer that's talking about, where people will actually use this to put over their image. So if I actually take the background away and I take the font away, whatever image, whether it be a photograph of myself holding a few products, or it'll be a product behind that itself, whatever goes behind that will need to be the bottom layer. So where this blue gradient is, you can see that's always behind. So whatever my picture is, I can always set that behind. It's the same as if I actually go to place embed the red tiles that we talked about earlier. That's already down here, but if, for example, this has actually been placed embedded, let's say you was working later on and you was at the top, you see it takes over everything. All you need to do is just move this down to the bottom of your list, and then just make sure that that is underneath this bit. But obviously we don't want to use that because I'm using a red overlay for that bit, so I stick with the blue one. I've got the gradient there, and then I can start putting pictures there. I can change whatever I want, and then that stands out quite nicely, and that's pretty much it. I mean, if I just bring the font back, then literally all you need to do once you're finished is go to File, Save As, make sure you save it as a PNG, and then let's call that thumbnail. Save. Make sure you put the compression down to the smallest, because the limit size on YouTube is only 2 megabytes. Then once that's saved, that's all you need to do. I mean, you can actually check the size if you go into the folder where you've actually saved it, and then right click, go down to properties. It will show you the size here, which you can see it's less than 1 megabyte, because that would need to be 1024 kilobytes to actually be 1 megabyte. Now, because that's actually under 1, that's absolutely fine. We can upload that to YouTube, use it as a custom thumbnail, and that's literally it. That's it done. So yeah, if there's any sort of extra things that you want to see, then drop a comment below. Let me know what sort of videos you guys want to see going forwards. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos. I've also started doing product reviews. There's a link to that at the end of this video. And yeah, that's really it for this, guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.